All right, ready to step back in time a bit. Today we're going to be diving into The Richest Man in Babylon. It's a classic, filled with all this timeless wisdom about building wealth. And we're going right to the source for this one, the book itself.
Yeah, it's amazing how advice from ancient Babylon can still feel so relevant to our financial lives today.
I know, right? It's like they tapped into something about human nature,
Hmm.
that just hasn't changed much over the centuries. So the book, it starts off with this idea anyone can achieve wealth. It's not about luck. It's not about privilege or anything like that. It's about understanding and applying these certain principles, like mastering the rules of the game, so to speak.
Exactly. And the book, it lays out these rules, these principles through a series of parables, which is part of what makes it such an engaging read.
Okay, so let's talk about one of the most famous parts, the 7 cures for a lean purse. Some of these might sound like common sense, but I think that's kind of what makes them so powerful. They're like these simple, timeless truths about managing money.
Absolutely. And the first cure, it's probably the most well-known. Start thy purse to fattening. Pay yourself first.
Ah, yes, the age-old advice of saving. But I'm curious, in today's world where expenses seem to be constantly going up, is 10% still a realistic starting point for most people?
That's a great question. While the percentage itself isn't a hard and fast rule, the principle behind it, that's what's crucial. It's about creating that habit of prioritizing your future self. Even if you have to start with a smaller amount, you can always gradually increase it as your income grows,
So
right?
it's more about the discipline, the consistency of setting something aside, rather
Yeah.
than getting fixated on a specific number.
Exactly. Think of it like building a muscle. You start with lighter weights, and then you gradually increase the load as you get stronger. It's the same idea with saving.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, cure number 2, control thy expenditures. I gotta admit, the word budget doesn't exactly spark joy for me. Feels kind of restrictive.
I get that. But the book, it doesn't advocate for deprivation. It's about being conscious of where your money is going and making sure your spending, it aligns with your goals.
So it's more about making informed choices, rather than feeling like you're denying yourself all the time.
Precisely. It's like you're designing a spending plan that actually reflects your values and your priorities. You get to decide what's important to you and allocate your resources accordingly.
You actually make budgeting sound pretty appealing.
Yeah.
Now, cure number 3. This is where things get really interesting. Make thy gold multiply. I think this one, it really speaks to everyone's desire to see their money grow, right?
Absolutely. This is where we start getting into the world of investing, understanding how to make that money work for you.
The book talks about the power of compound interest, which almost feels like magic when you really see it in action.
I know, right? It's probably the closest thing to magic you'll find in the financial world. So the idea is that your money earns interest, right? And then that interest earns interest. It creates this snowball effect that can lead to significant growth over time.
But of course, with any potential for reward comes risk. And cure number 4 reminds us to guard thy treasures from loss.
Yeah, this is where things can get a little more challenging, especially these days. There's so many investment options, so many different opinions out there.
There's this great story in the book about a brickmaker who ends up losing all of his savings because he impulsively invests in jewels without any knowledge of the market.
Oof, yeah. It's a cautionary tale for sure. It's all about the importance of due diligence and not falling for those get-rich-quick schemes. The book really stresses this seeking advice from wise men, from people who have experience and expertise in the area you're thinking about investing in.
So it's about finding those trusted sources of information and not letting emotions or impulsive decisions cloud your judgment.
Exactly. Like the old saying, right? If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Couldn't agree more. All right, so we've covered 4 cures so far. Let's move on to number 5. Make of thy dwelling a profitable investment.
Oh, this is one that resonates with a lot of people. The idea of owning your own home as this path to building wealth.
But in today's market, with housing costs just going up and up, isn't home ownership becoming kind of out of reach for a lot of people, especially young people just starting out?
It's a valid concern, for sure. The landscape of homeownership has definitely changed since the book was written. However, the underlying principle, it still holds true. Having a tangible asset, something that appreciates over time, can be a powerful tool for building wealth.
So while the way we apply it might need to be adjusted to our current realities, the core concept, owning something valuable that remains relevant.
Exactly. It's about understanding the principles and then adapting them to your individual circumstances and the current economic environment.
Now, cure number 6. Ensure a future income. This one takes a long-term perspective.
It does. It's about planning for the future, making sure that you got that financial safety net, for unexpected events or for retirement.
It's that peace of mind, knowing you've taken those steps to protect yourself and your loved ones from financial hardship.
Precisely. It's taking a proactive approach to your financial well-being, not just leaving things to chance.
And finally, cure number 7, increase thy ability to earn. I love this one because it focuses on investing in yourself.
This is one of the most valuable and often overlooked aspects of building wealth, recognizing that your greatest asset is your ability to earn.
So it's not just about managing money. It's about constantly developing your skills, your knowledge, your earning potential.
Right. It could mean pursuing higher education, learning a new trade, or even just honing those skills you already have to become more valuable in the marketplace.
Yeah. This reminds me of the story in the book about a man named Nomasir. He starts off with a bag of gold, but ends up losing it all through some poor decisions. But then he rediscovers his path to wealth by applying these 5 laws of gold, which I think we should dive into in a moment.
Nomasir's journey is a great example of how even after setbacks, we can still rebuild and achieve financial success just by applying these sound principles.
Okay, so we've got these 7 cures, each one offering a piece of the puzzle to building wealth. It's not about finding this magical formula, but about embracing this mindset of financial responsibility and continuous growth.
That's it. It's about taking control of your finances, making informed decisions, and building that solid foundation for a prosperous future.
All right, so before we move on to the 5 laws of gold, let's pause for just a second and recap what we've learned about these 7 cures for a lean purse.
Sounds good to me. Let's break it down.
Okay, so cure number 1, start thy purse to fattening. Pay yourself first, even if it's just a small amount. It's about creating that habit of saving consistently.
Right. And remember, it's not so much about the specific percentage. It's about the principle of prioritizing your future self.
Cure number 2, control thy expenditures. Create a budget that reflects your values and priorities, making sure your spending lines up with your goals.
And again, it's not about deprivation. It's about making conscious choices with your money.
Cure number 3, make thy gold multiply. Now we're starting to think about investments, making our money work for us through that power of compound interest.
Time is definitely your ally when it comes to investing. The sooner you start, the greater the potential for growth.
Cure number 4, guard thy treasures from loss. Be careful with investments. Seek out expert advice. Don't fall for those get-rich-quick schemes.
Protect your hard-earned savings. Make informed decisions based on knowledge, not emotion.
Cue number 5, make of thy dwelling a profitable investment. Yeah, the details of homeownership, they might have changed over time, but the principle of owning a valuable asset, something that appreciates, that still holds true.
Adapt those principles to your circumstances, to the current market.
Cure number 6, ensure a future income. Plan for the future. Make sure you've got that financial security for those unexpected events or for when you retire.
Be proactive with your financial well-being. Create that safety net for yourself and for the people you care about.
And finally, cure number 7, increase thy ability to earn. Invest in yourself. Keep developing your skills and knowledge to boost that earning potential.
You are your greatest asset, right? By investing in yourself, you increase your ability to create wealth throughout your whole life.
So those are the 7 cures for a lean purse. Tanless principles for building that solid financial foundation.
And as we get into the 5 laws of gold, we'll see how these concepts get developed even further and applied in some practical ways.
All right, so are you ready to dive into these 5 laws of gold and see how they can help you achieve financial success, just like they did for the people of ancient Babylon?
Oh, absolutely. Let's unlock those secrets to building that lasting wealth together.
Okay, let's break these laws down one by one and really unpack the wisdom that they hold.
All right, so the first law, it echoes a concept we've already talked about. Gold cometh gladly and increasing quantity to any man who will put by not less than 1/10 of his earnings to create an estate for his future and that of his family. In other words, pay yourself first.
So this just reinforces that first cure for a lean purse, right? It's all about building that base, that foundation of savings.
Exactly. It's like you're laying the first bricks in your financial fortress,
It's about making your money work for you, not just for those creditors or, those impulse purchases.
Right. Now, the second law is all about seeking wisdom and guidance. It says, "Gold laboreth diligently and contentedly for the wise owner who finds for it profitable employment, multiplying even as the flocks of the field."
So this is about making smart choices when it comes to investments, not just like stuffing your savings under your mattress.
Precisely. You got to understand how to make that money grow. You got to find those carefully chosen investments.
This really ties into that third cure, right? Make thy gold multiply. Understanding the power of compound interest and finding opportunities for your money to really work hard for you.
And notice the language there: diligence, contentment. It's not about chasing those risky get-rich-quick schemes. It's about finding investments that align with your values and your goals.
That's such a good point. It's not just about the potential return. It's about that peace of mind that comes from knowing your money is invested wisely.
All right, so the third law is about caution and protection. It says, "Gold clingeth to the protection of the cautious owner who invests it under the advice of men wise in its handling."
This is making me think about that brickmaker again. The one who lost everything by investing in jewels without any knowledge.
Oh, yeah, I know, right? It's like this big reminder. Seek expert advice. Don't let emotions or impulsive decisions lead you to financial ruin.
Do your research, understand those risks involved, and look for guidance from people who actually have experience managing money.
And this also means diversifying your investments. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
So it's all about striking that balance between risk and reward, protecting what you've already earned while still looking for opportunities to grow.
Okay, now the fourth law. It's all about investing in your home. It says, "Gold slippeth away from the man who invests it in businesses or purposes with which he is not familiar or which are not approved by those skilled in its keep."
So stay within your circle of confidence, right?
Mhm.
Invest in things you actually understand.
Exactly. Don't get caught up in those speculative ventures or chase the latest trends if you don't have the right knowledge.
And it's about due diligence,
Right.
not just blindly following somebody else's advice.
All right. And finally, that fifth law focuses on personal growth and development. It says,
Mhm.
"Gold flees the man who would force it to impossible earnings, or who follows the alluring advice of tricksters and schemers, or who trusts it to his own inexperience and romantic desires in investment."
So be realistic with your expectations. Don't get fooled by those too good to be true promises.
Exactly. Wealth building, it's a gradual process. It takes patience, it takes discipline, it takes making sound decisions.
And be wary of anyone who promises those unrealistic returns or tries to prey on people who just want to get rich quick.
And you know what? It also emphasizes trusting your own experience. It's about learning from your mistakes, refining your knowledge, becoming more savvy with those financial decisions.
So these 5 laws of gold, they really offer this comprehensive framework for building and managing your wealth. They emphasize saving consistently, investing wisely, seeking out expert advice, staying within your area of expertise, and being cautious of those risky ventures.
It's embracing this whole mindset of financial responsibility, prudence, and continuous learning.
And what's amazing is that these principles, formulated thousands of years ago, they still resonate today. They're timeless truths about human nature and the principles of building wealth.
It's a testament to the wisdom of those ancient Babylonians, their understanding of financial principles that truly transcend time and culture.
Okay, so are you ready to dig into some more fascinating insights from the richest man in Babylon and see how these principles can be applied to your life today?
Yeah, I'm all ears. Let's unlock the secrets to building lasting wealth together.
Great. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll dive deeper into the parables of the walls of Babylon and the camel trader of Babylon, uncover even more of those gems of financial wisdom.
We'll be exploring how those stories illustrate the importance of protection, resilience, and the power of taking control of your financial destiny.
Until then, keep those purses fattening and those minds expanding.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the richest man in Babylon. You guys have already absorbed those 7 cures for a lean purse and the 5 laws of gold.
Yeah, we've laid that groundwork. But now I think it's time to really see these principles in action, through some of the book's most captivating stories.
Right. The richest man in Babylon, it doesn't just lecture you on these ideas. It actually shows you how they can play out in real lives, even if those lives are set, way back in ancient times.
Okay, so one of the most memorable stories for me, at least it has to be the walls of Babylon, it uses the city's defenses, those impressive walls, as a metaphor for financial security.
Yeah, what's so striking about that parable is how it emphasizes this need for, proactive protection. Just like a city needs those strong walls to hold up against an attack, our finances need those safeguards against life's unexpected events.
Yeah, you're right. It's not about living in fear, but about having that sense of preparedness. It makes me think of those modern day equivalents like having an emergency fund or insurance.
Absolutely. Having those financial walls in place gives you that stability, that peace of mind. It lets you focus on actually building wealth instead of constantly worrying about every little threat.
Yeah, it's like you've got that solid foundation and you can build your financial future on top of it.
Exactly. And speaking of foundations, let's move on to the Camel Trader of Babylon. This story, it's all about resilience and that power you have to take control even when things feel kind of hopeless.
This one really resonated with me. It's about this guy named Dabasir, right? Who finds himself stuck in this cycle of debt and just like utter despair.
Yeah, and his journey is so relatable to anyone who's faced those financial setbacks. It's a reminder we all make mistakes. But what truly defines our financial journey is how we respond to those mistakes.
Right, he makes those bad choices early on, ends up in debt. He even joins a band of robbers out of desperation.
Oh, man. But then there's this turning point, right? He realizes he's become a slave to his debt, and he finally decides, enough is enough. I'm taking control of this situation.
I love how the story emphasizes personal responsibility. It's not about pointing fingers or blaming external factors. It's about realizing that we actually have the power to change our financial course.
And so he goes to this wise gold lender for advice. And the gold lender tells him, you got to live below your means, save diligently, pay back those creditors consistently.
Yeah. Create a plan and stick to it no matter how tough it gets.
And it really highlights the importance of discipline and perseverance when it comes to achieving financial freedom. It's a powerful reminder, even when we stumble, we've got that power to get back on track. We can build a brighter future.
And the inspiring part, Davasir, he doesn't just get back to zero. He uses what he's learned to become this successful camel trader. He reaches a level of prosperity he never thought possible before.
It shows you that financial success, it really is attainable for anyone. You just got to be willing to learn, to adapt, to keep pushing forward.
Okay, so we've got those parables about protection, about resilience. But there's another recurring theme in The Richest Man in Babylon that I find really interesting. Is this idea that luck, a lot of times it's actually a byproduct of hard work and preparation.
Oh, you're talking about the parable of the luckiest man in Babylon, right?
Yes. It's the story of Sharonaya, the successful merchant, and his grandson, Hadan Gula.
Hadan, he believes that wealth should just come easy. Yeah, Hadan Gula, he represents a mindset that we see a lot today. It's that belief that success is all about luck, or being in the right place at the right time.
Totally. And Sharonaya, wise mentor that he is, he decides to challenge this whole notion. He shares his own life story.
And what does he reveal? His journey actually started in the humblest of circumstances. He was a slave.
Talk about a reality check. Completely shatters the idea that he was just born lucky.
Right. Sharonada emphasizes his success. It was built on hard work, perseverance, that willingness to seize those opportunities whenever they appeared.
And he contrasts his own journey with 3 other men he observed when he was a slave. They stayed stuck in the same routine for decades.
Those men, they represent the danger of complacency, that belief that your effort won't actually change your fate.
But Sharonada's story, it shows you that we have a lot more agency than we think. Our actions, our choices, our willingness to put in the work, those are the real drivers of success.
You got to take ownership of your financial journey. You're not just a passive bystander. You're the architect of your financial destiny.
It's about being proactive, seeking those opportunities, honing your skills so you can create your own luck in a way.
And while luck might play a small role, it's those consistent efforts, that dedication to your goals, that's what ultimately determines your level of success.
So we've seen how The Richest Man in Babylon uses storytelling to make these financial principles come alive. It's not just abstract concepts. It's about seeing how they actually play out in relatable situations.
And that's what makes it so timeless, right? It's not just some dry financial manual. It's a collection of stories that grab you emotionally. They inspire you to take action.
They make these ancient principles feel relevant and accessible to modern readers, no matter their background or experience level.
Exactly. The book, it speaks to something universal. That desire for financial security, our capacity for growth, our ability to overcome those challenges and actually achieve our goals.
So in the final part of our deep dive, we're going to explore one of the most thought-provoking questions in the book. Would you choose a bag of gold or a clay tablet with words of wisdom inscribed on it?
That question, it really makes you think about the true nature of wealth and the importance of investing in your own financial literacy.
It's like the perfect way to wrap up our exploration of the richest man in Babylon. A reminder, true wealth goes way beyond just those material possessions.
So join us for part 3 as we unravel the deeper meaning behind that question and see how the wisdom of ancient Babylon can guide us all towards financial freedom and fulfillment.
All right, welcome back to our final exploration of the richest man in Babylon. We've uncovered all these timeless principles, heard those captivating parables, and now we've arrived at this question, and it really makes you think.
It does, doesn't it? It's like the ultimate financial dilemma. Would you go for the bag of gold, or would you choose the clay tablet, the one with all the words of wisdom inscribed on it?
It's a tough one. It's posed in the parable of the luckiest man in Babylon, if you remember. And it really forces us to think about what true wealth really means.
Yeah, it pushes you to look beyond that instant gratification thing, that wanting something right away. And it makes you appreciate the value of knowledge, of really understanding something.
The story, it features Sharonada, that wealthy merchant, and his grandson, Hadan Gula, who, well, he seems a bit more interested in the good life than hard work.
Oh yeah, Hadan. Sharonada, wise as always, sees this as a chance to teach him a lesson, a valuable lesson about where true prosperity comes from.
So he poses this question to a group of young men, and of course they all jump at the bag of gold. Can you blame them?
I mean, it's understandable, right? Immediate riches, who wouldn't be tempted? But Sharonada, he explains. Gold, you can spend it. But knowledge stays with you.
It's like that saying, give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. That clay tablet, it's like the ability to create wealth, not just receive it.
Exactly. Choosing that tablet, it's like investing in your financial education. You're gaining the knowledge and skills to build something that lasts.
So you're not just getting wealthy, you're becoming wealth savvy. You're learning how to create it.
Right. It's recognizing that financial literacy, that's an asset in itself. And it's one that gets more valuable over time. It's the foundation for a future that's secure and prosperous.
This parable, it highlights something that runs through the richest man in Babylon, the power of knowledge. It's like the key to unlocking that financial freedom.
True wealth, it's not just about how much money you have. It's about understanding those financial principles and knowing how to use them.
It's like developing this wealth mindset,
Yeah.
a way of thinking that shapes your financial decisions and leads to prosperity in the long run.
And that's really what we've been exploring in this whole deep dive. The richest man in Babylon, it's not just a bunch of tips and tricks.
It's more like a guide to this financial philosophy that can change your life. It's about those core principles: saving, investing wisely, getting good advice, and always learning and growing.
Financial success, it's not a destination, it's a journey. It takes patience, it takes discipline, and it takes making those smart choices that align with your values and goals.
Well, as we wrap up our exploration of this classic, think about the wisdom we've uncovered. How can you apply these principles to your own life?
Remember, the journey to financial freedom starts with a single step. Start small, be consistent, never stop learning. That path to a prosperous future, it's within your reach.
And that concludes our deep dive into the richest man in Babylon. We hope this ancient wisdom empowers you to create a life full of abundance and fulfillment.
Until next time, keep those purses fattening and those minds expanding.